I think the business applications will open up their data through open table formats. So you're seeing this already happen. SAP recently launched something called the SAP Business Cloud. What that means is that you don't need to move data anymore. You can keep your data in SAP and you can bring compute. Like the amount of money that's been spent on migrations is insane. Like we just keep migrating stuff. And so I think migrations go away. I think data becomes open.
Hello, fellow daters. My guest today is Prukalpa Sankar. Prukalpa is the co-founder and CEO of Atlan, a data ops platform used by teams at NASDAQ, NASDAQ, and the UN to manage data collaboration at scale. Atlan is raised over $200 million, and I'm a small investor, very happy investor, and grown revenue 7x in the last 2 years. Prukalpa, welcome to World of DaaS.
I'm excited to be here. And thank you for
Super
being a very
excited.
early supporter.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here as well. Like, I guess one question I have is like you've got this transformation in your company. So many other companies are transforming their company where they're making sure that all their employees are becoming AI native, using AI tools. What are you doing to get everyone to use those tools?
Yeah. So we started a transformation. We put out a mission to the company end of last year, early this year, saying we want to be an AI native company. And I think it's important to first just define what does it mean to be AI native. And the way we defined it was if we were building the company from the ground up today in a world where AI exists, how would we reimagine everything?
Yep. And how would a new company basically kill you, essentially?
Exactly. And I think because I think we're still where most companies are is you are trying to augment an existing human process with AI, which I think is being AI curious. You're not actually being AI native. And I think the transformation to being AI native was really important to us. Like we've been adopting AI tools for like a while. But I think the model somewhere in the last year, I think the models got good enough to say, hey, actually, we can truly reimagine this process and this business process to be AI native. And that kickstarted this transformation journey. It's frankly been harder than I expected it to be. And our takeaway was the transformation needs to happen at multiple levels. So the way we did this was we first set up an AI task force, which is this whole separate team whose role it was to ship business first use cases. So it operated as its own team. We said here, like first we needed to show people that this was real, like, and it could work.
Show people within the company.
Show people within the company that it could work. And so that was the first couple of things that we did. So we shipped out like a couple of real life business use cases with AI. Then we started.
Sorry, what do you mean use cases? Meaning like product enhancements or something, or?
No, product enhancement. We've been shipping AI stuff into our product for a long time.
Yeah.
Like for us, being AI native was, hey, how do we as a company become AI
So
native?
it's like an internal process, like recruiting or something.
Exactly. Okay. It was like customer support. Like how do we reimagine like an existing internal like workflow and showcase that this stuff really works? Once we did that, we launched a mission to be AI native. And with that, we launched an AI productivity challenge across the company. So it became really bottom up. That worked beautifully because the energy across the company, people helping each other out. We have this Slack channel with like 200 people on it, and they're constantly submitting stuff as to what they're doing into their day-to-day workflows. We made it like fun. There were a few people who won iPads. Like there was just stuff like that we did that I think created the bottom-up momentum across the entire company. So for example, today, I think I would be very surprised if there's anyone at Atlan who does not work with AI on a daily basis. And now I think we're on the third level of our execution, which we're calling AI native departments, which is we're changing our org charts. So in our customer experience team, we have basically these agents, and like it's just like multi-agent workflow. All these agents have names. All these agents have and
So the
so we're
agent has a
basically
name like Susan type of thing, like.
yeah, like Susan
Okay.
and Lane, and like we might make it fun. Like, so we might even name some agents after like people on the team, like as and so that's kind of the third workflow that now we're reimagining the departments with like essentially a new org chart. And what would that org chart look like, and what does the human agent collaboration workflow look like? Which is when I think we truly build an AI native department. That's kind of where
Wait,
we are today.
what are some of the things that you're doing today that you weren't doing like 6 months ago or a year ago that is improving things?
Um, a large part of it is the ability to process, like, what does AI do really well? AI does two things really well. AI has the ability to process vast amounts of information. AI has the ability to generate things in a way, like that's the core element of generative AI. So one element that we have gone really deep into is how do we now, like we listen to every call. Like before we needed to like look at conversion rates, and then against conversion rates we needed to go and say, okay, like here's the change that we need to, like here's what we need to investigate because this is dropping. Versus now
Yeah.
actually we can do a completely different workflow. We can listen to every call, or AI can listen to every call, right? And so it's translated into things like we have live, we listen to every single call, we score every single call, we take those into signals that we're driving, like, better product, better, like, customer experience. Here's the gaps that this customer might be facing in their implementation. We send that back as coaching to individual team members. And then we're able to, so A, I think just the ability to process signals has changed dramatically. Um, the other has been a lot of generative use cases, right? So we can write proposals better than just about anyone. We can scale like reporting in a way that like one of our best
When you
use
want to
cases has
write
been
like an RFP or something like that, are you guys writing that writer, or is there just a random software company that has a good RFP writer that you use or something?
I think we are using a tool for RFPs. We're like And so it's been a mix of a build versus buy strategy, at least internally for us. So uh, we, I think for RFPs, we're using like an external tool. For some of the enrichment stuff, we're using tools like Clay. And then there's for a lot of the internal agentic stuff, we're building things internally. That's the flow.
I just like because like just that idea of, okay, I got to before I go to do it myself, maybe I should go search for the vendor, go look at it, go look at a bunch of different things, evaluate some things, look at the different tools. Like that's almost like that's a different type of mindset, a different type of employee. Like how does
Yeah.
one push that down?
Yeah. It's it's hard, and at least our strategy actually has been a little bit more geared towards build than buy.
Yep.
And a part of this is because I think we're also fortunate we operate in the data and AI space. And so I think the right to win for very small use cases of a business application kind of use cases is low uh, today.
Yep.
We care a lot about living in the future for our customers because it helps us build the best product for our customers. A lot of customers use Atlan for their agentic use cases in the future, like to power their agentic use cases, and we want to be ahead of that. And so the pattern, we buy a few things at the infrastructure layer, we leverage a bunch of the cloud stuff at the infrastructure layer, and then we build agents on top of that, and it's not that complicated to build an agent. Like the real hard part of all of this is the business context. Like that's the hardest part. The operating model and the business context is the hardest part of making AI
What do you mean?
successful
What
in
do
a
you mean by
company.
that?
The difference between a copilot and an agent is that the agent understands your context like perfectly. So
Yeah.
your agent has to be better than any single human being, and ideally better than all the human beings around that topic. Right? Like that's the power of the agent. That needs iteration and flows because, for example, like if you think about just a prompt, like a simple first level prompt is not enough. The data context that needs to go behind it is problematic. The workflow context, the business, like that's really hard. And so what typically happens is that people ship something. It has 70% accuracy. So you can use it as a co-pilot, but it's not at 100%. It's a lot of work to go from 70% to 100%, and people give up in the process. Like this is like, I mean, right now, only 25% of AI experiments make it to production. 46% of AI experiments are actually abandoned. And that chasm is hard to fill. And that chasm, unfortunately, can't be filled purely through technical talent.
If you're enjoying this podcast, please sign up for our newsletter. Go to worldofdas.com. The link is in the description below. Now back to the video.
That it needs this iterative operating model between the business, someone who does the job, who knows the job really well, and like technical team. And that operating model, I think, is the hardest part. Like building the operating model and building the context is really hard.
Interesting. Now, what, like, when you're hiring people, have you kind of changed a little bit how you think about hiring, maybe the types of traits you're hiring for in the AI model?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have like one of our pillars is AI native talent density. And we've made being AI native like a core part of hiring.
So it's kind of like you have to already be AI native to get hired at Atlan.
Yeah, you should already be AI native to be, or like, I mean, the question, you should definitely be able to become AI native. And so we've made a few changes. Some of the most basic changes we've made is, for example, we have something called a real life problem statement. We always had this. It's a very core part of how we hire at Atlan. People work. Like we believe in seeing people's work rather than, just them talking about their work. So one thing we did is like we rewrote all those prompts. We rewrote all of those challenges. And now we actually explicitly say that we are an AI native company. We expect you to work with AI to solve this. And we get you to show us. So like when we're like, okay, show us how you're writing the prompt. Like show us how you're like working with AI to solve this problem. And
so
that was
is
helpful.
that live, or do they record it and send it to you, or is it an async thing, or how do you give this? Because it's like a homework thing
The prompt that we give is a homework thing. People go work on it async. And then they come back and they present with us, and it's like a real life problem solving exercise together. So the intent is we work through like our entire philosophy around the challenge statement has always been, it's a way for you to get to know Atlan really well. So we open up everything to you, like you were like a real life Atlanian in the company. So we give you access to data, we give you access to tools, we give you access to people, and we work through the problem together. Now we've just added AI is another collaborator that we expect you to be natively using as a part of your thought process, right? That has been phenomenal because the interesting thing about AI is that certain skill sets become very, like much more relevant and certain skill sets go away. So for example, clean thinking is a very just core ability to describe a problem in a structured, clean way is a much more important skill set.
Yes.
Any past context, experience, like any of these things, like they just actually become, like they diminish so much. And so it's been really helpful to actually see people.
I mean, experience could potentially be correlated with being able to describe the problem or something, right?
Yes, maybe, exactly. But like which is why I meant like pre-context is not that helpful anymore. Meaning this whole, I have done this before, used to be a very important part of like a hiring process. And I have done this before, actually knowledge. Like knowledge is not that important anymore. Like because you can learn knowledge very quickly. The question is like, can you ask the right questions and can you iterate? So seeing people iterate with AI has been very helpful. We do a lot of questions around like, show us what you do. Don't like talk to us about AI. Because honestly, like if anyone's interviewing in this market and they say, I don't use AI, that's just like stupid. Like
Yeah.
like, I don't think
They're
anyone's
all
going
going
to
to
do that,
say it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing has been actually we've been thinking a lot about what are the traits, like the cultural traits that make someone successful in this new world. And it's surprising. I actually think it's similar to what it used to be in the old world. So there's this book called The Growth Mindset. And I actually think a lot of the core, like being able to approach a problem with beginner's mindset, being able to have, uh, it's interesting, but like, I believe that extremely secure people do better with AI. So, for example, like if you have any element of insecurity in you, where it leads to a natural AI will AI will not be able to do this better than me. Versus if you are completely secure in yourself, there's an
Uh,
element of course, I'm going to work with AI too. So there's
yeah.
all these very
So,
core personality traits.
most people have some insecurity here and there, right? They've got some sort of thing.
Yeah,
So there's a spectrum, I assume
there's
you're
a
talking
spectrum.
about. Yeah.
Obviously, there's a spectrum. Like, this is not like, of course, everyone has some insecurity. The question is, do you take do you take a growth mindset to the problem? And do you say, hey, you know what? Like, this is this amazing technology, and I'm going to learn how to do better with it.
Yeah. And you also have to,
Versus,
you can't be worried it's going to take your job. Like, because if you are worried, it probably will. It's almost like you have to be using it as a tool so that you can get better.
yeah, yeah. And look, I mean, there's this tweet that's making the rounds, right? Like, AI is unlikely to take your job, but somebody else who uses AI is definitely going to take your job,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Like, so you're like,
That's almost totally true. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's interesting. It's actually become a great retention and a talent attraction tool for us at Atlan, because people who are at Atlan, we are a company that's investing in being AI native.
Yeah.
We are
So you'll
helping our
learn.
people. Yeah, we're helping our people be the most forward-thinking people, hopefully, on the planet. And I truly believe we're in the top 1% of companies doing that. And that it means that talent that's working elsewhere, but their companies are not giving them the ability to do that. They're coming to Atlan. Talent that wants to stay. Like, in fact, after our data update agent, because now like humans don't need to like update data the same way anymore because like AI does it for them. People were like, oh my God, I'm never going to go work in a company where I have to do work manually again.
Yeah. Totally.
So we believe that at least for the next, like, we don't know what the long-term future is, but I think there'll be companies that use AI that don't use AI and die. I think there'll be companies that use AI and become operationally more efficient. But I think there'll be companies that use AI and raise their ambition 10x. Because that's always the challenge of startups, right? You never have enough resources to do the things that you want to do. AI makes that easier. We want to be the third kind of company. We're going to use this to like become 10x more ambitious. And so we're not seeing this as a future where we're going to like not hire human beings. We just want our human beings to be 10x better and more productive than a human being anywhere else. And we think that's a competitive moat.
But do you see it slowing the rate of hiring? Where, and so because hiring has a huge cost because of the
Yeah.
communication. Every time you hire someone, it becomes
Yes.
harder in a company to communicate. You become more
Yes.
bureaucratic. Things move slower. It's in even the
Yes.
best run companies, right?
Yes. Yes. So I think we end up not hiring for. So it's kind of that thing, right? Where if you can make everyone 10x more productive, ideally that human being can do 10x more, which means you can grow if you just think about your growth rate versus how many people you need to do it, that shrinks. And then you go hire people to go do the new thing because you have earned the right to go do the new thing and the new thing. And like, I think that's the way we're thinking about it. But absolutely, I definitely think it will slow the pace of hiring. It reduces viscosity, can reduce so much viscosity inside companies, which and we're excited about all of those things.
You're, part of what you're doing is just like, you guys are in the data world. You're kind of using data, manipulating data. so many companies are not using data in the right way. What are the big kind of mistake blocks you see companies making, and how do you see that moving over time?
Um, I think we're in an interesting world. I think the best way I'll describe it was a customer, large bank, who told me this recently. She said, our company has gone through 3 waves of data platform replatforming uh, over the last 20 years. We've gone from the Hadoop era to the cloud data warehouse era. Now we're in a cloud data lake era. We've gone through all these eras, but nothing has changed for my end users. My users still can't find the data. They still can't trust it. They still don't use it. Nothing has changed. Um, and I actually am much more optimistic about this than I ever was in the past. I think we have solved a lot of the core foundational architectural problems that data was running into over the last couple of decades. I think we're now at the last mile problem of data. And that last mile problem is a hard problem because that last mile problem is not just a technology problem. That last mile problem is a human plus technology problem. And that last mile problem is even more
And
valuable.
there's a UI issue there too?
I think there's a UI issue there too. There's a diversity issue. I think the thing about data that most people don't realize, I call it the 2 fundamental truths of data. The first is that data is the most diverse ecosystem, team, landscape that can exist. And the reason for that is because if you have to make a data project successful, now a data and AI project successful, but this used to be called, there used to be data science projects in the whole world or whatever, right? Like you need multiple different skill sets to come together. You need analyst, engineer. Now you need AI engineers. You have, business. Business is this one word that we use, but actually it means lots of different things. I like finance business is very different than marketing business is very different than sales business, right? They're like, if you break this down, you're like talking about 12 to 15 different personas in a single project. And the thing about these people is that they're fundamentally different. An engineer is a fundamentally different person than an analyst. They have completely different tooling preferences. They have completely different skill sets. They have completely different DNA. Uh, which, unlike other teams, like if you think about a sales team, it's like a relatively homogeneous team, right? Or a data organization is fundamentally heterogeneous. This leads to, in some ways, the tooling proliferation. That's why you see 87% of companies use 2 or more BI tools.
Yeah.
Like the number of people
I
who
mean,
use
I'm
like number of,
surprised it's not like, 100% of companies use 5 or
yeah,
more tools or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
It's insane, right? Like the number of, you would think that these problems are, you know, could turn homogeneous. The number of customers we have that use Snowflake and Databricks both is like insane. And the reason for that, I think, is because of this fundamental heterogeneity in the ecosystem, which leads to different tool preferences, which leads to these complex heterogeneous data stacks. And the second problem, actually, in this ecosystem more than anything else, is change. Uh, the second, like, it changes faster than ever before. Like 2 years ago, vector databases were the rage. Like, 3 years ago, no one talked about it. Today, you can argue we have stopped talking about it. Like it's not a thing anymore. And that change, like, is the only set in reality. It's just very fast evolving ecosystem. And that core problem is what leads to, in some way. So when you say something as simple as my business doesn't trust this number, it sounds like a really simple question, but it's a very hard question to answer because you're talking about connecting a data landscape of 100 different tools. You're talking about bringing together context of, like, the reason the number could be off is because finance changed the calculation of the revenue metric. Could also be wrong because the data engineer changed the pipeline. Could also be wrong because the quality check failed. There could be there's so many different people involved in this problem. And that, I think, leads to this complexity of the last mile not being
Yeah,
solved.
what so we just saw Salesforce bought Informatica for $8 billion. ServiceNow bought Data.World. Like, walk us through like how the market is thinking about all these different kind of metadata systems.
Yeah. So I think that brings us to today, where this problem was always a big problem, but now it has kind of like it's almost become 10x more important because of AI. Because AI can't do anything without context. Like context is everywhere, right? Like it's the model context protocol. It is, context windows. Like everything about AI is, can you teach it context? Uh, in fact, my co-founder Varun had this very profound statement he made recently, which I think we'll write a blog about, where he was like, in 1996, Bill Gates wrote, like internet era was just happening. Bill Gates wrote this blog post and he said, content is king in this era. And I think in 2025, you can actually say in this new era, like context is king. And that's what people are realizing, right? So if you think about any of these application layer companies, the application layer company, Salesforce, ServiceNow, and so on, they have always held business data and business context has stayed in these tools. You could argue they're becoming a little less, like in a world where humans don't create business context, these tools become more irrelevant, right? Like they've all been built on the concept of humans will create business context.
Yeah, humans come in and they type in, they kind of
they
like
write
add stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So now they have to win the agentic game. So they have to become the people that replaces the CRM with the agents, which is what Salesforce is trying to do with Agentforce and so on. They've all announced these great AI dreams over the last 12 to 18 months, and they've realized as they take these things to production that there's no way they can do it without context. And the context layer is in the metadata layer. And so one of the things that many of these companies are trying to do is that they're trying to buy these capabilities. They say, hey, I need to create the metadata layer inside of my business applications so that I can go win the agentic game. And so that's one kind of like change that's happening in the business application layer, where a lot of the business data lives. On the other hand, you're seeing almost this creation of the data and AI clouds, which is kind of where like Snowflake and Databricks have traditionally played. And these companies actually are are in an interesting space where they have been built on the premise that you will move your data from the business application layer to this data layer or the central data layer. And so as the business application companies make a play to say, no, you're not going to move your data out of us. Like you're going to keep, where you're going to keep your agents on us. These companies are now trying to find capabilities to say, hey, you know what? Like, actually, we need to be the place that you build and maintain all your agents of the future. And so what capabilities do I need to make that happen? I need the capabilities to be able to look at context across your ecosystem.
And so you think these business application companies are going to be more likely be the losers, or what? How does this net out?
Time will tell. My sense is that we will have a few key changes that will happen. I think the business applications will open up their data through open table formats. So you're seeing this already happen. SAP recently launched something called the SAP Business Cloud, where they're opening up their data through an Iceberg native function and open table formats. What that means is that you don't need to move data anymore. You can keep your data in SAP and you can bring compute to SAP. And so I think that will minimize the amount of storage need or storage movement where we just keep migrating data. Oh my God, it's insane. Like the last 20 years, this ecosystem just migrated data. Like the amount of money that's been spent on migrations is insane. Like we just keep migrating stuff. And so I think migrations go away. I think data becomes open. I think
What do you mean by
compute layers
open?
will stay. So fundamentally stored. So Iceberg is a new. It's been catching a lot of attention in the ecosystem. A lot of customers, like about 600 of Snowflake's customers today, are using Iceberg. So that's like 10-12% of large enterprise customers. And what you're seeing is it's fundamentally an open table format, which says that in the old world, you used to take data to compute. So you used to move data to a computation layer like a data warehouse or a data lakehouse. with an open table format, you can bring compute to your data. And you can bring any compute to your data.
Why is that better? Is it just more efficient because you're not like transferring like terabytes of data back and forth, or?
It's definitely more efficient. First, because actually 40% of someone was telling me this stat recently. 40% of cost of compute is actually insert operations, which is literally like migrating, like migrating data from one place to another. So it's just far more efficient. Second, it keeps it open because now there's all these interesting innovations in compute layers that are happening. So I have customers telling me, hey, for this operational workload, I'm using this new performance-based engine in the ecosystem. And so what you can do is you have an open ecosystem. Like you can have customers that use Snowflake for their analytics workloads. You can have customers that use Databricks for something else. You can use the new startup for the third thing and the fourth thing, right? And so
So basically you call like a data store for whatever you're just sitting there. It doesn't, and then you can just bring the tool to the data rather than bringing the data every time before you'd have to load into every tool. And it took a lot of load and all this other thing. And okay.
Exactly.
And then of course now and then the data you'd have a problem before syncing the data because it would go out of date or whatever. So now you can always have the most synced data, the most up-to-date data in one place.
Exactly. And so what I think that creates is you have a bunch of wherever your source data is getting created, that data will start becoming open through open table formats. We will start bringing compute to that. And there will obviously be more compute with the
And do you think
AI agent.
applications that are creating proprietary data within the application, let's say Salesforce or something, they're gonna are they going to move to this kind of more open data thing, or do you think they'll try to put roadblocks to make it harder to move that data?
I think it depends on the strategy of companies. I think there'll be two kinds of companies that will get created. In fact, like last week, there was all this noise in the ecosystem about Salesforce shutting off the Slack data API access. And on the other hand, I think there are companies like SAP that were traditionally slightly more closed ecosystems, actually, that are saying, yeah, actually, we're going to open up our data through a business cloud. And my sense is that what customers will want is open and interoperable. Because in a world where innovation is rapid, and in a world we just have to accept that that's the world that we're going to live in the next 10 to 15 years. There's going to be a lot of change. Customers will want to innovate rapidly. And so customers will want to have the choice. So my sense is if you believe that ecosystems will be built based on customer choice, my sense is the world, going after open table or open interoperable formats is the right thing for the customer. If you believe that the right thing for the customer is what the industry will go to, I believe that is what will happen.
I mean, today, after I saw that Salesforce announcement, today, I would never implement Salesforce if I could avoid it. Now, if you're already part of that ecosystem, it's not that easy to get off of it. And so I think each of these companies are going to have some sort of complicated matrix as they're making a decision there.
Yeah.
But it definitely makes me more reluctant. And even if I was a company on the margin, should I invest more in Salesforce or should I invest more in these other tools? I'm probably going to invest more in these other tools today after that announcement. But clearly, Salesforce is smart. They're making this bet for a reason. They're making a closed bet for a reason. How do you steel man their strategy?
I mean, it's a good move. If Salesforce wants its agents, if Salesforce believes that agents is its future, and today the only thing that it has, and if you think about the world where the CRM goes away and agents replace the CRM, then how do you retain the right over the next 2 to 3 years to become the company that owns the agents? What's your moat? And if your moat is not shipping the best product the fastest, then
certainly not them.
I think it's a good moat. And I think that's just I think companies that have business context today definitely have a advantage because that's the core of what helps make agents work. Um, and time will tell, I think, on which strategy will play out. At least what I tell customers is, you should build your stack for a few layers to be open, a few layers to be interoperable no matter what, and a few layers you should expect to use multiple tools. So the way I think about it is like you should expect to be in multi cloud platform. You should expect to be in multiple business applications. You should expect to be multiple data platforms. Uh, you should have a centralized context layer. You should have a centralized governance layer. Uh, both of these should also be open and interoperable so that when you are experimenting with multiple models and foundational models, you're experimenting with multiple clouds, you're experimenting with all of these. You have some layers that you keep centralized that help you so that your context doesn't get logged into a single application, your governance doesn't get logged into a single place, but it has to be open and interoperable for you as a
Got
customer
it. So you
because
get your
Mr. Customer.
context in one place. In some ways, you almost have your data in one place. But then you could be very promiscuous about using GCP or AWS. You could be very promiscuous or using Anthropic or OpenAI. You try
Yeah,
all of them out all the
yeah,
time, constantly just
yes,
trying to learn about
yes,
what's the best for
yes.
you.
Yes, absolutely. And
And
honestly, like
sometimes it's a cost thing, and sometimes it's a performance thing, right? So depending,
exactly,
you may have different things
exactly,
you'll be optimizing for.
exactly. And sometimes it's a use case thing. Like there's some use
Yeah.
cases that Anthropic is better for. There's some use cases that OpenAI is better for. Like,
Interesting. Now you are running even though you're a startup, it's complex because you've got people all over the world through, every time, all the different time zones and stuff like that. How do you think about managing it? Somehow do you have to like async it out or something? Because it's hard to have synchronous collaboration when you have people that are, 12-hour differences and stuff.
yeah, um, yeah. So we decided to be a completely global remote first company. That means that we have team members in over 20 countries. So we are very global and remote. Um, and our
And
strategy
mostly
on this,
working from home type of thing.
mostly working from home. We have a global WeWork membership. So our colleagues can go into like their nearest WeWork uh, for sync things that they want to do, but mostly working from home. Our high level strategy on this has been to say, what do you optimize in person time for, and what do you optimize remote time for? So the way we think about it is, it's remote for productivity and execution, it's in person for problem solving uh, and human connection. Uh, and so we've
And
tried
what
to
about
very,
like what about okay, but you also have like random meetings that happen throughout the week or something. Are you just trying to like reduce those as much as possible so you don't have as many video meetings and stuff? Or
so we have something called Atlan Standard Time, which we've created, which is 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific, which is the times that we expect every Atlanian to be online for
got it.
collaboration
So
hours.
7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific. You're basic. If you take a job at the company, you got to be on those 4 hours. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's how you get everyone to synchronize.
Yeah, that's the synchronous time. That's for the collaboration hours. That's for the that's the huddle
Okay,
time.
that's what I was
And
asking.
then
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So there's some period of time where no matter where you are in the world, you got to be. And for some people, like obviously, if you live in San Francisco, like that means you're getting up a little bit earlier than you would normally do. For
yeah,
other places, it means you're
staying
you're
up later.
changing your habits a bit. Or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. And our only thing is we typically tell teams not to burn both sides of the candle. So like don't wake up super early and stay up too late, you know? So our teams typically, like we have teams in Asia and India, they typically start their day much later. Uh,
Yeah.
and they go on so that they can stay up till
Got it.
Pacific wakes
And
up. And
somehow,
our
like, so during the recruiting process, they know, okay, this is the hour, so they're opting into this.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, interesting. And what do you when you think about? I mean, doing this remote first has both its advantages and disadvantages. How else have you made it work? Like, what else have you done to make it work well?
Yeah. So a few things have been a we have really believed in we really believe there are only two ways you can run a company. Either you're all in office
Mhm.
and the whole team is in office, like at least like the team that's working together is in
Yeah, yeah.
office, or you are like fully remote. Like we don't
Yeah, and
believe
by
in the
the way, I
middle thing.
think I think the whole team has to be not in the office, but they have to be on the same floor. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, so they
Yeah,
can't even be on different floors and stuff. They're
exactly.
basically
Exactly.
remote at that point. Yeah.
Exactly. And so one has been just like making sure that that is important. The second thing has been being really intentional about human time. Uh, and like that has meant, for example, when we meet in person, we have this ritual. We call it, well, now it's called like an Atlan special meal. And when we do a dinner, we have this specific question that we ask that gets people to open up and like talk about. Like, so we have just these
Ooh,
rituals for our.
what's the questions?
I mean, so it could be like that. Like, for example, there's like this one question that if an alien showed up on your doorstep, uh, where would you take it for a meal and why?
Uh, okay,
Or
I
like
love that.
if you're gonna go to Mars, what is the one personal item you will take with you? Or, if there's one person in the world you could like call and thank that you haven't thanked, like who's that person and why? And so
Yeah.
it's like it's just things that it's the very thing. Like you could be on the same floor as a human being for an entire year and you might still not know them. And if you go to one of these things and they're actually well run, like you could walk away after 4 hours and you could really know the human being. Uh,
Yep.
and so it's been architecting the in-person time and being really intentional about that. It's been uh, creating a bunch of rituals in the way we run the team. So for example, we have a very specific thing called unblock meetings. And an unblock meeting is specifically meant to get cross-functional collaborators to say, hey, like, here's the thing we're going to unblock. And there's a format to run it, right? So you write up a problem proposed solution document. So it's been creating these like rituals in the company of how you work and making it very specific to how you work. There have been things like we have a very big culture of gratitude and feedback. And so every time we do things, we have something called I like, I wish, I worry. And people do these for each other. We do this for the company. Like you have like an Atlan version of I like, I wish, I worry for Atlan as a company. So just creating more of those. I think it's been trying to standardize culture. Culture is one of the hardest things, I think, because if you're in office and more than 50% of the people like norm to the culture, you just see it and it becomes you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Um,
It's easy. Yeah.
it's just harder remotely. So we've written like a 75-page leadership handbook.
Oh wow.
Uh, so it's literally like and it's like here's dilemmas that you're going to deal with as a leader at Atlan. It's not about like being a leader; it's just about being an Atlan leader. Like what is like this is what it means to be a leader at Atlan, and how do we operationalize those things? So it's been, I'd say, like my previous company used to be a fully in office. Like we were in office, we had bunk beds in office. We were like, it was like a truly in office. Like it was like everything. Like everyone lived within like 1 mile radius of the office. Like it was a very in office culture. And Atlan is a fully remote culture. I think you have to be really intentional about being a remote company, and you can't just slap on what works in person remotely. I think you have to be really intentional about building a remote company.
Yeah. Interesting. Now you're uh couple of personal questions. You're the only Prukalpa I know. Um and you had mentioned before it's kind of like a unique name. Is there like a story behind that?
I am the only Prukalpa in the world. But if you Google me, it's like me. So that's my defense. People always ask me, like, how do you know you're the only Prukalpa in the world? And my thing is like, if you don't have like an online profile right now in the world, like, there could be a Prukalpa somewhere in the world that's like not connected to
Yeah.
the internet.
Yeah, but
But if you're, you
I'm
know,
doing it right now. I'm Googling you, I'm open AIing you, and I can't find another one. Like it's just
yeah,
you. You're the only one that shows up.
yeah, it's just me. So my mom, My standing joke is my parents thought about SEO before Google happened.
Totally, yeah. By the way, is it
Um,
good? Is it good to have a unique name or bad? Like, do you think that's like a good thing?
I love it. I think it's great. I love having. I mean, I have like like I have all the like. It's so easy for me to get all the domains, right? Because it's just me. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Do you
Um,
always have the
it.
at Prakalpa handle?
I always have the at Prukalpa handle. I don't have
All
to
right,
compete
that's
with like
amazing. Okay.
I don't even need to like use my last name for anything. It's like pretty cool.
Yeah.
There are some downsides, like for example, if you know, like anything I do on the internet, like there's when I was a kid and I was on Orkut, and you have these like really, everyone has these like really funny like weird posts that they make when they're a kid, like you write like
Yeah,
WRT
yeah.
instead, right? You're like and like you can actually find that stuff about me, if you research me enough. So there's some embarrassing stuff that I can never get away from. But I love it. And yeah, my mom, I mean, Prukalpa means brave and courageous. It's a Sanskrit word, which so I'm named after. It's actually the one of the 1,000 names of a goddess in India. Uh, and so yeah, it also means something cool, which
So I love that. That's amazing. A couple personal questions. What is a conspiracy theory you believe?
uh, um I am not much of a conspiracy theory person, but I have a standing joke with my co-founder on this, which is that I think I genuinely think flight upgrades have nothing to do with points and have to do with some version of karma or something like that. Because my co-founder and I travel more than him, and every time we travel together, he gets the upgrade, and I don't get an upgrade, and I don't. And it makes no sense to me as to why.
Wait, sorry, I'm not following. Walk me through this again.
I So like flight upgrades, like if you're like traveling in a flight,
Yeah.
you would think that upgrades have to do with points and
Yeah.
how much you travel and things like that. So and I would never get an upgrade. And my co-founder and I, when we travel together, he travels much lesser than me, but he always gets an upgrade, and it makes no sense. So I keep telling him, like I'm like, this is like karma, or like it's
Uh,
like there's something else in the
do
world.
you have some
that,
theory as to why
yeah,
he gets it and you don't?
I mean, I don't.
Maybe
I
he's
like
like super nice to the check-in
Yeah,
person or something,
yeah, like
or he slips him a
yeah,
20.
yeah. I feel like there's some, like he's done something in his life where someone has marked him in some database or something like that, and he just like it makes no sense to me as to why he gets upgrades and I don't.
Interesting. Interesting. I had a friend who always used to get upgrades, and it was never clear why, but do you know the singer Moby?
No, what is it?
Okay, anyway, there's a singer Moby who's kind of famous person,
Okay.
and my friend looks just like him.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so our theory was that like everyone was mistaking him for
Maybe.
like for a famous person, and he would
Oh my
constantly
gosh.
get like upgraded and good. So maybe your co-founder like looks like Brad Pitt
Maybe
or
he looks like
something.
someone. Ha!
Yeah.
That could be a reason. That could totally be the reason.
Um, cool. All right. Last question we ask all of our guests: what conventional wisdom or advice do you think is generally bad advice?
Um, I have a few on leadership. Um, I think the conventional advice on hiring leaders is typically this: hire really smart people and let them go figure it out. And there's some element of actually this is I recently wrote this post about like micromanagement, and I personally think that the best way to set up a leader for failure is to just hire them and then be like, go figure this out. Uh,
Yeah.
and The reason for that is I think they don't have context. Like there's clearly a theme here for me on context, but I think that context is really important. Like if you think about the job of a leader, it's about making great decisions. And to make great decisions, you need context. And when you join a new company, you don't get context. You don't have like the years of context. And so I think it is your job to make sure that this person gets the context that they need before they can go be awesome and make great decisions. Otherwise, they make suboptimal decisions. I think the worst decision is it's not a good decision or a bad decision. It's a suboptimal decision. And so something I believe is, how do you, like, for example, we have something called a decision review. So every time I onboard a leader, I like their first 20 decisions, they review with me. That we go through them together. And so
The first what?
match
The
20
just the
decisions.
decision, like they actually just walk through live with you.
Yeah, they walk like, this is the decision I'm making. This is how I'm thinking about it. This is why I'm thinking about it.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
And so I personally believe that the way to solve problems is not just to hire smart people and let them go do it. I do think you have to hire smart people, and I think you have to hire great people, but I think that there is a much higher responsibility to be extremely involved for the first 3 to 6 months of their journey in a new company.
Yeah. I love that. That's really great. Well, thank you, Prukalpa, for joining us on World of DaaS. I follow you at Prukalpa because you have, of course, that handle on X. I encourage all of our listeners to engage you there. This has been super interesting and a ton of fun.
Thanks for having me, Auren. This is awesome.
Thanks for listening. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to World of DaaS wherever you consume your podcasts, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and more. And please help us get discovered by leaving a review. And check out worldofdaas.com. That's worldofdaas.com. And of course, connect with me on Twitter at Auren. That's AUREN. Would absolutely love to hear from you.